Hi everyone, it's Nick with Build Up Advisory Group, and it's Fast Forward Fridays, a web series where we will quickly build what you know about infrastructure design in the nonprofit sector. Today's Fast Forward topic is about succession planning. When I have conversations with nonprofits and philanthropies about succession planning, I usually hear about a document that addresses who steps in if someone steps out of a particular role. You know the documents I mean, the pages and pages of what ifs. They usually start with the board chair stepping in for the executive director, or ED, and outlines what other executive team members will do to ensure that the organization can trudge along while the search for a new executive director is on. And if you don't have a succession plan in your organization, I bet you're likely talking about the need to do some succession planning, but in the meantime, living in organizational fear about the organization struggling if key employees leave. Succession planning is a strategy for ensuring continuity of leadership and operation within an organization. And I think many of our conversations about succession planning and our succession plans themselves are missing four key elements. I want to highlight two of them here so that we can create succession plans that incorporate infrastructure considerations and allow organizations to continue to show up consistently, even when a key employee or leader leaves. First, we need to expand the focus of these plans to be more than just CEO or ED focused. I've seen so many plans that focus exclusively on succession planning for the event where an ED leaves. This focus makes tremendous sense because the ED is a key employee and we should be thinking about how the organization would function if they left. At its core, though, succession planning is about infrastructure planning, and planning for how to best support an organization's infrastructure should be our singular focus when it comes to succession planning. So, of course, people, as a key component of infrastructure, are critical considerations within a solid succession plan. They're just not the only focus. And focusing solely on officers or executive leadership is a missed opportunity to ensure that you have a strong organizational infrastructure to hold the organization up after this type of leader leaves. Succession planning should be about more than solely planning for the ED's departure because they alone do not comprise the people portion of an organization's infrastructure. When you have a contract to be processed or a check to be paid, for example, and the only people that know how to do those things, the sole contract associate and the staff accountant, are gone, in that moment, you'd probably agree that having a succession plan around roles and responsibilities that are critical to the core functioning of an organization, both programmatically and operationally, not just the ED, is also extremely critical. We have to focus on more than just the ED's departure in our planning and instead consider core elements of the entire infrastructure. And that brings me to the second element. Your succession plan should also address systems. Only by understanding your organizational infrastructure or capacity can you then determine both the systems and the people that you need to provide that capacity. Your plan should address your organizational policies and structures and provide a real understanding of what's needed to ensure that your organization remains compliant. That's comprehensive succession planning, when you consider both people and systems that comprise your infrastructure in order to determine how to address organizational capacity issues, including where information vacuums may appear within the infrastructure. It's a time to understand where your capacity issues surface so that you can start to think about how to address them now if you can. I know some of you might be thinking, well, we're just a small organization and we don't have a bunch of people who can step in to provide that capacity, so how could we even start to address it with succession planning? That's part of the beauty of succession planning. You can determine how to have systems step in where people cannot. So in the case of one person performing a particular task, make sure that particular task is memorialized step by step as a standard operating procedure that lets everyone in the organization know how that thing works and fills that information vacuum if that one person is out of office or leaves. That's how you both plan for succession and strengthen your infrastructure along the way. I've seen organizations grind almost to a screeching halt when someone goes on vacation or everyone reaches out to the person while on vacation because they're the only ones that know how to do a particular task. Either result is an indication that you have some succession planning to do, even if you have a written succession plan. By incorporating these two elements into your succession planning, you'll strengthen your infrastructure and can plan for even more consistent impact. And that's our Fast Build. On our next Fast Build Friday, we'll continue the conversation about succession planning with the two remaining elements. I want to hear how you are thinking about succession planning. I would love to hear from you and about your experience in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful weekend and keep building bravely.